Well, also the other thing, the bottom line is very, very simple. Would you rather live in a world where the leading economic power is the United States, or live in a world where the leading economic power is China? That's the bottom line. That's the simplest way of looking at it. For years now, we've had all our so-called, boffins and experts and talking heads, the same ones who, Rita, this week were all in a head spin about what's going on with all the usual suspects, all the Trump derangement syndrome mob. They're all out there, hyperbole left, right and centre. The bottom line is we've all been complaining about the fact that China has been eating our lunch for decades. Now it's time. America has taken steps to correct that. Will Australia? That's the question.
Well, America is determined to bring back manufacturing, and it's already happening even before these tariffs take hold because of the policies that have been announced. And globalisation has not served the American workers. It's served the very elite. Wall Street loves it. They're hooked on cheap labour. They're hooked on paying a pittance for people in third world countries to make things for them. But there are all sorts of ramifications for that, not just for their own workers, but also as far as innovation goes, because the countries that learn how to make things, they learn their whole supply chain and they become empowered and emboldened, and you weaken your own nation. And Trump has seen this, he's talked about this, as I said earlier, for decades. This is a massive realignment, but this is something that JD Vance, the Vice President, is absolutely strong on, probably even more so than Donald Trump. You've listened to some of his recent speeches,
well, he lived through the whole hillbilly elegy.
He knows this. It decimated his own community, his family.
James?
So we may see, and I know this is a little bit early, but JD Vance I see as the 48th President of the United States, and we may see more than a decade of this realignment, and the world's going to be a very different place.
You're going to come back to this because you've got lots to say about that.
It's going to need this. Well, the thing is, the point is, though, you talked about globalization. And if globalization hasn't been great for the American manufacturing sector, let's stop and think about Australia, because I think we need to talk about some of the policies that have been getting dropped out of both sides of the campaign here for the prime ministership, which is just a few weeks away. Can you believe it? We've been on the road basically since the start of the year on this. And the real issue here, of course, is that, Australia does very poorly in globalization because we have created a situation where we have a high wage economy, which is fine and good for workers, but also a high regulation economy, not so good, and a highly expensive energy policy. So that means that basically we now have to get everything we have from overseas. All we can do is our extractive industries, which are wonderful, but the complexity of our economy is down at third world levels. We don't really add much value, and there's a big Harvard index of competitiveness that talks all about that. It's a disaster. And this is why we're seeing, both from Labour and the coalition in the last 12 hours, such, I think, absolutely impoverished policies about getting the country growing. We've had the coalition come in with a minor cut, and it is a minor, and I'll explain in a moment why it is, minor cut to student visa intakes, because we're so addicted to that money that we can't get rid of it for the property Ponzi. And we've got the Labour, coming in and saying, oh, well, the taxpayer will fund you to buy a battery to make power bills cheaper that we raised the price of already. On both sides, it's no vision, it's no growth, there's no innovation, Rita, to use the word you used, and it shows just really how desperate this economy is in.
This battery policy by Labor, I've got to say, we've heard a bunch of dumb policies this election campaign already, and this one is amongst the dumbest.